Yo, what is going on YouTube? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. How are you guys doing out there today? So today we're going to be checking out PROCOL Harum, a whiter shade of pale. Now, I was going to dive into the live version that's been requested, but I did see one or two comments saying, hey, if you're going to do this song, please do the studio version and then the live version. A lot of people jumped straight to the live version. So I'm going to respect those requests today, man, and do it that way. Sometimes I do just jump into the live version if that's what's heavily requested, but this one, I'll follow suit with the studio into the live. So we'll do the studio, and not too many days after you watch this, I hope to have the live up here instead of waiting a long time. Okay, so thank you guys for tuning in today with this one, man. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Haven't ever heard of this group, haven't ever heard this song before, and it looks like we've got an official video with it. So let's go ahead and jump in, see what I'm getting right here, and then hopefully soon after, you guys will see the live version here on the channel as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump to this.
Face at first just go sleep, turn the wider shade of pale.
Man, some bands can push emotion, man. Face at first just go sleep, turn the wider shade of pale. God, I love that organ, man. Okay, that feels like it gets cut off. That can't be right. Man, that can't be right. So before I watch listen to these songs, I make sure I get the album version. So I always pull up this to see the length now, if I know it's probably from the 70s and whatnot. Um, but this is 4 minutes 3 seconds, and what we just heard was 4 minutes 1 second. So maybe it does fade out like that, but right here it does say original single album version. It says there's a 50th anniversary studio remix that goes 5 minutes 54 seconds. So maybe that's the way the song ends. It sounds like it was supposed to keep going though. So if I got that wrong, like I said, I always come here first and just try to make sure I'm getting the right length, because so many times I've reacted to the maybe the stereo version, whatever you got, radio edit, rather than the album. So I'm always trying to make sure I get the album now. But if that was wrong, let me know, guys. And like I said, we will get to the live one. You'll see that hopefully in a couple days. I'll be able to react to that one. So we've got this released in 1967, considered rock, pop, psychedelic pop, progressive pop, and this was Baroque pop. That's one style I did look up for myself after seeing it so much, was Baroque pop, because I was like, man, what is that? So it's from a style of music called Baroque, right? And then they introduced it as pop later on, Baroque pop, because they started using the instrumentation that was used in that era style of music. So this one, continuing on, let's see, its songwriters are Keith Reid, Gary Brooker, and Matthew Fisher. A Wider Shade of Pale is a song by the English rock band PROCOL HARUM that was issued as their debut record. Okay, so this was their debut coming out like this. This thing was fantastic to listen to. I know I was kind of stuck on the length because of the way it faded out, but actually just talking about the song, very beautiful, man. I love that certain groups, they know how to push that emotion out through to you, man. And this song did it, man. It had such an emotional heaviness to it, but at the same time, I don't know, his voice carries it lightly, man. I liked his voice. I liked the instrumentation. Of course, that organ, man, just right there, beefy in the center. Can't ignore it. I loved it, man. I loved it very much. But the emotion of this was intense, and I can't wait to dive into the live version of this, man, because if that was the studio version, I just know with the live version being the first thing that people are requesting, I know it's got to hit so heavy, man. So, of the anthems of the 1967 Summer of Love, it is one of the most commercially successful singles in history, having sold more than 10 million copies worldwide. In the years since, A Wider Shade of Pale has become an enduring classic with more than 1,000 known covers. Wow. Wow. That is wild. With the Bach-derived instrumental melody, soulful vocals, melancholic tone, and unusual lyrics, the music of A Wider Shade of Pale was composed by Gary Brooker and Matthew Fisher, while the lyrics were written by Keith Reid. Originally, the writing credits on the song only listed Booker and Reid. In 2009, Fisher won co-writing credits for the music in a unanimous ruling from the Law Lords. All right, for the lyrics, it says, Keith Reid got the title and starting point for the song at a party. He overheard someone at the party saying to a woman, "You've turned a wider shade of pale," and the phrase stuck in his mind. The original lyrics had 4 verses, of which only 2 were heard on the original recording. The third verse has been heard in live performances, so maybe that's why it cuts out right there. Maybe that's why it cuts out right there, because it says the original lyrics. No, so the recording only had 2. Okay. The third verse has been heard in live performances by PROCOL HARUM, and more seldom than the fourth. Okay, so sometimes they put in the third, and rarely they put in the fourth, man. Claes Johansson, in his book PROCOL HARUM Beyond the Pale, suggests that the song deals in a metaphorical form with a male-female relationship, which after some negotiation ends in a sexual act. This is supported in Lives of the Great Songs by Tim Del Liesel, who remarks that the lyrics concern a drunken seduction, which is described through the reference to sex as a form of travel, usually nautical, using mythical and literary journeys. Other observations have also commented that the lyrics concern a sexual relationship. Contrary to the above interpretations, Reid was quoted in a February 2008 issue of Uncut magazine as saying, "I was trying to conjure a mood as much as tell a straightforward girl leaves boy story. With the ceiling flying away and the room humming harder, I wanted to paint an image of a scene. I was trying to be mysterious with those images. I was trying to be evocative. I suppose it seems like a decadent scene I'm describing, but I was too young to have experienced any decadence. Then I might have been smoking when I conceived it, but not when I wrote it. It was influenced by books, not drugs. Okay, so for that video, then that video completely misses the mark. I was trying to pay attention to the lyrics, and of course, to me, it did feel more like a connection like that. But I'm seeing images of a war and people being saved and bombs dropping, and I'm like, man, I don't know. So I really was trying to turn my eyes off, or turn my mind off to the images on the screen, except when I was seeing that the band members were playing it. So yeah, the video was rather confusing for this, so not a very good edit for whoever made that, I would have to say. Structurally and thematically, the song is unusual. While the record version is 4 minutes 3 seconds long, it is composed of only 2 verses each with chorus. The piece is also more instrument driven than most songs of the period, and with a much looser rhythm scheme. It's unusually elusive, and referential lyrics are much more complex than most lyrics of the time. For example, the chord alludes to Geoffrey Chaucer's The Miller's Tale. The lyrics, Keith Reid said, "I'd never read The Miller's Tale in my life." Maybe that's something that I knew subconsciously, but it certainly wasn't a conscious idea for me to quote from Chaucer. No way. The phrase "a wider shade of pale" has since gained widespread use in the English language, noticed by several dictionaries. Okay, so he created a phrase that people use more commonly now or after the song than was at the time. The song it's saying, that was interesting. So the song is about this relationship that is breaking up, this guy and girl negotiating through a hardship in their relationship that some people are saying it ends in a sexual act. So I gotta dive into these lyrics just really quick to understand. Wow, so I don't know how they gathered that story from this. These lyrics really are not straightforward, as they're saying a lot of metaphor, and they're just not straight to a story, to a conclusion. In my opinion, we skipped a light fandango, turned cartwheels, crossed the floor. I was feeling kind of seasick. The crowd called out for more, so maybe they were dancing, maybe he was performing. He wanted to chill, but the crowd is cheering them on, or cheering this moment on, something. The room was humming harder as the ceiling flew away. When we called out for another drink, the waiter brought a tray. And so it was later, as the Miller told his tale. Then her face, at first just ghostly, turned to a wider shade of pale. So even the chorus doesn't really make sense to me, trying to think about it. So if you're thinking about somebody's face white turns a wider shade of pale, that's like when you get fear struck into you, a moment that makes you jolt and afraid, separated from your body. So to me, that doesn't sound like a loving encounter, but I could be wrong the way I'm reading it. She said there is no reason, and the truth is plain to see, but I wandered through my playing cards, would not let her be. So sure, I could see that, trying to close in, trying to negotiate through this relationship, trying to make this work, whatever this scenario is happening, right? She is just saying, hey, no, and he's playing through his cards, try not to let that be, trying to continue to work through this. One of 16 Vestal virgins who were leaving for the coast, and although my eyes were open, they might have just as well been closed. So yeah, man, this is just very open for interpretation heavily. What you say, what the person next to you says, and the person next to them say could all be right. So it's really hard for me to understand. I want to know what you guys always thought of this one and thought it was. All right, so we'll learn a little bit about the group real quick before I dip out right here. So we've got them, also known as the Pinewoods and Licorice John Death. All right, so their origins are out of Essex, England, the south end of on sea. Progressive rock, proto-prog, art rock, and psychedelia are what they have done in their career. They started in 1967, stopped 10 years later, got back together in 1991, and went on until just last year in 2022, it looks like, man. And their past members are galore, all right? We got a big book of names right here. We even got Robin Trower in there, somebody I have reacted to, shows up on the name list right here. There might be more people that I'm familiar with, but that's a big, long list, and just kind of scan through it. I swear I've heard Tim Renwick before on this channel somehow, some way. I want to say that name sounds maybe a little familiar. I couldn't say everybody. Ian Wallace sounds familiar, but Ian's a huge popular name. that I've ran into a lot of times. So I don't know. I couldn't say exactly which members I'm very that I know for sure and don't know. Okay, so but I want to thank you guys. It looks like in 2018 the band was honored by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when A Whiter Shade of Pale was inducted into the new singles category. So there we go, man. Let me know if there's more songs worth checking out here. I definitely will dive into the live version of this, but mainly I'd like to know what you guys thought this was about, this song right here. It was an interesting listen. It was interesting to read through, but I got to tell you, man, that thing is I don't know, that's a puzzle piece to try to break out and understand, man, of a song, in my opinion. So thank you guys for tuning in here today. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you enjoyed, please let me know by liking, subscribing, and checking out the descriptions down below, man. Consider becoming a member here on my YouTube Patreon for as little as $3 a month, man. That's the best way to help me, man. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.